2019 was a big year for SMG4. With the release of Metal Runner and many more awesome things, the year was filled with amazing stuff for everyone. So I decided to bust my ass off trying to rank every SMG4 episode from 2019. I decided to leave the 3 million collab out of this since it's mostly fan submitted videos. This is mostly my personal opinion combined with objective thinking, so if you don't agree with something I say, be sure to leave down your own opinions in the comments below. This is going to be a long one, so let's get started. Number 47, Boys vs. Girls. Pretty much universally hated by the fanbase, this episode is a really controversial one. Let's just say that the way it addressed the story and themes may have seemed for most people as kind of sexist and unfair. While I'm sure SMG4 and crew made this episode with all the right intentions in mind, it has very little jokes to make up for the main problem. While I personally didn't get offended by this episode, I can understand why people hate it so much, hence why it's this low on the list. Number 46, There's Something Up with Maggie. This is probably the most emotional SMG4 episode that's not part of an arc. Now, I'll let it be very clear for you. I love the character of Maggie, and I think emotional moments can be a part of SMG4. But the more I look at this one episode and compare to other moments, I realize that this one just didn't punch me in the gut like others did. I can get the thinking behind this episode, how one event could leave everlasting consequences onto a series and a character. But here Maggie acts out of character and is honestly pretty creepy for almost the entirety of the episode. Number 45, Stupid Mario Maker 2. Being the sequel to a pretty good episode, I had really high hopes for this one. Unfortunately, it managed to disappoint me in almost every way possible. The jokes and references to the source material were all pretty stale, the story was only decent, and I just felt like this had way more potential. The antagonist of the episode was an interesting twist, but other than that, this episode doesn't have much going for it. Number 44, Mario and the Lost City. The worst of the two-part special, Mario and the Lost City, is a conclusion to the story we left behind at the last episode. And that's pretty much it. We don't get any amazing moments or cool jokes. I'm all in favor for bigger storylines, but this one wasn't very enjoyable. And I thought the reason Axel even wanted to go in the first place was to get golden ink, and he just let Mario trade it for food at the end? Well, at least Mario got what he wanted. What? That's funny. Number 43, Mario gets stuck on an island. No one should have to endure Mario all by himself, but we still got an episode all centered around that exact plotline. I do think experimenting is a good thing, especially in a series like SMG4, but damn, Mario acted weirdly obnoxious throughout the episode. We all know that's just the way he is, but sometimes you just get creeped out by the guy. Number 42, the Big Bad Bully. So Tari pushes Wario onto a moving car, which leads to him getting run over, and she's the one being bullied because he wanted some retribution? What world is this? Actually, it's the SMG4 world, sir, where everything is retarded. Shut up, Jeffrey. Anyway, this kinda runs into similar problems of Boys vs. Girls, except in a smaller scale, hence why it's not right next to it. It assumes something is black and white, when in reality, it's actually various shades of gray. I hope that didn't sound weird. Because of the movie. Fuck, Fuck. Number 41. Mario's Big Chungus Hunt. Basing an entire episode on a meme that died before it was even born was certainly a bold move. Did it pay off? Not really. Should you subscribe to my channel? Absolutely. What does that have to do with the review? Jeffrey, if you interrupt me one more time, I'm taking these chopsticks and I'll shove them up your... Where was I? The first half of this episode is pretty meh for me, honestly. I feel like it was made to resemble Looney Tunes, which I can respect, but it doesn't mean I love the result. The second half is all about the video game industry, which even for SMG4 just felt kinda random. But I did like how they called back to Maggie being a lawyer in this episode, so I'll give a thumbs up to that. Number 40. Mario does the chores. This was always supposed to be a small scale episode, I get it. But just because you're going that route, it doesn't mean the episode can't be good. And you'll see that later in this list. Every episode before this one I had some problems with, but now we're getting to the more gray zone. This is overall just a simple episode that doesn't have much going in its favor or against it. Some jokes manage to land, and the interactions are all pretty smooth. Also, this episode, the anime arc, and another episode I will get to later are probably the reason for Peach coming back in more prominent roles in the more recent SMG4 episodes. Which is cool. If you like Peach. High five, am I right? I don't get it. Let me explain in words you'll understand. She's a bitch. Number 39. Super Mario Taxi. This one gave us some cool moments all around, but nothing to make it really stand out. The premise of this episode is also plain and simple. Mario makes money out of being a taxi driver. A non-legal one. I think this episode can be very enjoyable if you're not in a bad mood, but I can't really get myself to recommend it either. Don't worry, I'll have more to say for later entries on this list. Number 38. The Japan Trip. This is the worst episode of the anime arc, in my opinion, and even so, it's actually pretty whatever. Of course, this is the introduction to the character of Axel, which is kind of cool, but Axel doesn't show any traits other than being a famous manga artist. The jokes aren't as strong, and they barely touch the phenomenon that is Japan. This episode isn't bad, but it also ain't good. Number 37. Treasure Hunt with the Boys. The better one of the two-part special doesn't manage to go much further than its successor. The reason I rank this one higher is mainly due to the characters being at more than one single place for the duration of the episode. We get a feeling of adventure as our heroes scavenge through the jungle in order to get to their destination and retrieve back what was taken from them. But it's still not as good as some others later on the list. Number 36. Mario's Valentine Advice. An episode mainly focusing on Shroomy? I can get behind that. Wait, you're telling me he's sexually attracted to a Teletubby? Is that even legal? Anyway, this is an alright episode with a pretty deep message about love. Wait, no it isn't. I'm pretty sure Shroomy just gives up on trying to date the Teletubby and Mario calls out love as dumb. What the fuck, guys? I mean, they're not wrong, but that's not something you want to tell your audience. At least I think so. Number 35. Stupid Mario 3D World. A pretty nice change of pace and characters. The episode itself only catches up by the second half, but it's still a worthy experience. It's nice to finally get Bowser, Toad, and Peach back on the spotlight, and some jokes are actually pretty funny, such as Mario treating Luigi as if he doesn't exist. Mario's transformation was also hilarious, and the ending was spot on for the overarching themes of the episode. Number 34, War of the Fat Italians 2019. Being the follow-up to the What Feet 2018, this one had some pretty big shoes to fill in. And while I can't say I was disappointed, that's only because I expected SMG4 would go with a more classic format for the What Feet of the year. The way the character of X is brought back and even voiced is fantastic, in my opinion, and could also work as a great send-off if SMG4 so desired. Like most What Feats, there were cool challenges, funny gags, and a sick rap battle. Number 33, the Mario Showdown. Also part of the anime arc comes the Mario Showdown. I really enjoyed how they got everyone back together in one single plotline. I think they managed that really well. The scenes between Maggie and Esti were all good and unexpected from the normal rival cliché. That being said, there isn't much else going for this episode, since it is just a setup for a bigger story. But that story will come up again, don't worry. Number 32, the Inkling Disappearances. Oh, that was anticlimactic. Right on the next segment. Damn. To be fair, we still aren't there just yet, since this is also a setup episode. I think this one's a little bit better though, simply by the feeling of finality it has that the previous one lacks. You also feel the danger as anime characters go around capturing Inklings to an unknown location. All of this combined with the recruitment of two of my favorite characters makes it an overall good episode. Number 31, Mario Works at McDonald's. The second episode after the anime arc, this one also tries to stay simple with a brand new storyline. There were some funny moments sprinkled all throughout this episode, and the appearance of the guards only certifies that the anime arc would not be the last time we saw them. For focusing on more obscure characters and focusing on a nice and fun plot, this episode ranks in at this spot on the list. Number 30, the Daddy SMG4 Boosted Cringe. Being the introduction to the character of Susan Wooga Bonga and creating a super recognizable moment that is SMG4's cringy video, this one has taken its rightful place as a standout among the SMG4 episodes. The implementation of the references to YouTube and its YouTubers is incredibly well done, and the use of SMG3 is pretty good. With the positives out of the way, I personally prefer many more other episodes than this one, but it's still surprising that an episode with cringe on its title managed to rank this high in this list. Number 29, Mario's Prison Escape. This was the official return of the fan favorite guards, and for that alone, it deserves to be this high on the list. While the standout is definitely Swagmaster himself, there were still some jokes not related to him that still made me laugh. Unfortunately, I really did not enjoy the soup plotline, and I think it shouldn't have been dragged out to the end. So this ends up being an episode that has really good things going for it, mixed in with some bad story choices. Number 28, Mario Raids Area 51. The introduction to the now long gone character Greg remains as an incredible episode. And this gets particularly funny when you know where the idea for this character probably came from. The fact that this joke character would later make many cameos before his demise only show SMG4's determination in keeping the joke alive. This would also be a very important and decisive episode for the upcoming YouTube arc.
Number 27. Smart Mario.
Who could ever think that SMG4 Mario would someday be smart? Well, after an experiment gone right by Professor Egad, Mario ends up becoming a genius, and that's pretty much the plot of this episode. Just like Homer Simpson, it isn't long before Mario turns into a jerk, and unlike him, builds a giant robot to steal some spaghetti. Okay, maybe that is like him when you think about it. It is not scripted, I'm actually thinking of this right now. But anyways, my only problem with this episode is how Bob is treated as an idiot, even though he's been shown to be very smart throughout the Rapper Bob arc. I think Steve would have been a way better fit as a rival to Mario's stupidity, but that's just my opinion. Let's move on.
Number 26. Mario waits in line for some spaghetti.
Another episode with the guards, and a really interesting one as well. Mario has to wait in line to withdraw some spaghetti, but he's too impatient, so he decides to speed things up. The way how Mario manages to cut in line gives out a feeling of progression, and the guards make for an everlasting threat to our protagonist and his goals. But that does not stop SMG4 from switching the antagonist role from the guards to the Wario brothers while not feeling completely out of blue or very obvious. That all makes for a fascinating plot and amazing character moments all sewed together.
Number 25. Mario's Lemonade Stand.
A hilarious episode in the middle of an arc. Sometimes that's all we really need. Bringing back Jeeves as this episode's antagonist was a brilliant play, and the face-off of him against Francis was amazing to watch. We get callbacks to this year's first episode, really hilarious jokes with great timing, and much more. This is an episode I'll easily rewatch from time to time because it just manages to be everything I think is great about SMG4. Wow, I really praised this one, didn't I? And we're not even on the top 20 yet.
Number 24. A Day in the Life of Everyone.
This is one really divisive episode. Some seem to love it, others seem to hate it. I'm pretty much on the love boat. Getting small plot lines for a certain set of characters is something that other shows like Adventure Time have tackled before, but I think the nature of SMG4 is more fit for this kind of formula. We not only get some time with the main characters such as Mario, Luigi, Bob, Fishy Boopkin, Starry, Maggie, and Psycho, but we also get some time with characters not so prominent, such as Axel, SMG3, Bowser, Wario, and Waluigi. The narration was also made by the Old Man Hobo, a character fans have been yearning for ages, so I really can't see why some despise this episode.
Number 23. The Minecraft Plague.
Being a metaphor for Minecraft's sudden control over the gaming platform, I think it's always great when we get anything related to our boy Steve. I say that because not only the SMG4 version is funny, but the character itself is purely goofy by nature. Of course, Mario, Maggie, and Luigi are in this one too, and they all have some cool moments with each other. Seeing how each of them would act in the world of Minecraft was really interesting and kept me engaged for the whole run of the episode.
Number 22. If Mario was in Minecraft.
A fun comeback to the If Mario Was In series. Mario thinks he will find diamonds if he digs down enough, but what he ends up finding is a world as retarded as its main star, Steve. The storyline here is fascinating, the references are on point, and the memes, oh the memes. You got everything from "Hi guys" to Jeff yelling "Get the fuck out of my room, I'm playing Minecraft." This is one episode worth your time to rewatch.
Number 21, Untitled Mario Video.
Video based around this game could only end up in madness. And that's exactly what happened. Mario pisses off a goose and is now transformed into one and forced to obey its commands. With some creative thinking, the SMG4 team manages to bring a familiar yet new story with lots of jokes and moments for everyone to enjoy. This episode captures the essence of the Untitled Goose Game while spicing it up with the SMG4 formula.
Number 20, The Ouija Uprising.
A long-awaited continuation to the highly praised Luigi Labyrinth, this one tries using the cast of Luigi, Shroomy, and Fishy Boopkins to tell the revenge story of the Ouija dolls after being treated poorly in the past. We also get a time-traveling plotline where we see what would become of the world if the Ouija dolls took over. The cast even meets with the descendant of Mario. Don't even ask me how that man had kids, I don't want to think about it. The revelation at the end was pretty good and even made some of us empathize with the villain. Shroomy in this episode was a standout, considering it had been a long time since the character got so much screen time. But don't think that the strength of this episode is only the plot. The jokes are all above average as well. This makes this particular episode one to be remembered for generations.
Number 19, My Mario Academia.
This one is just a fun episode. We get to see how it would be if some of the SMG4 cast were My Hero Academia characters, and pretty much everything works. Mario's quirk relates back to him slapping everyone in the Mushroom Kingdom on the ass. Bowser's quirk is basically just a character trait at this point. Bob's quirk is associated to Bob often being referred as a bag of trash and to him living in a dump. Maggie's quirk is a cool reference to some problems people have with Gmod models. Shroomy's quirk is literally just a banjo solo, I don't have anything to say about that. Luigi throws dice really well, possibly being a reference to Mario Party. Psycho's quirk is a parody of the JoJo stand, of course. Tori's quirk is super strength, which I guess can be related to her metal arm. Fishy Boopkin's quirk is self-destruct, which references the fact that whenever I look at his face I want to die. Okay, that was a joke. I actually like Fishy Boopkins. And finally, SMG4's quirk is a reference to what he would do in dangerous situations during the anime arc, using whatever device he has at hand to completely burn the opponent. And not with literal burns, I mean, like, fictional internet burns. Using Captain Falcon as All Might here was definitely the right choice, and making it all non-canon at the end with Axel was also a right choice, since the SMG4 canon is already weird as it is.
Number 18, Mario and the Anime Challenge.
The official Kickstarter to the anime arc, this is one heck of an episode indeed, with jokes coming left and right from every single corner of anime culture. This one has something for everyone. Bob, Mario, and Fishy Boopkins partake in many wacky anime-themed challenges, each one funnier than the next. We get references to Naruto, Yandere Simulator, Dragon Ball, One Piece, and JoJo, all in one episode. All the challenges and what they're supposed to represent are portrayed very accurately and make for a superb experience.
Number 17, Mario Saves Anime.
The false ending to the anime arc, here we get to have an epic infiltration of Peach's castle by Mario and the gang. We also get many hints that Francis might be up to no good, but nothing too distracting. The build up to the invasion is definitely the weaker part, where we get some of Axel's backstory, which as far as backstories go is really mediocre. Of course, you have the guards posing a hilarious but serious threat to our hero's plans, and many amazing moments between them. We also get a musical parody. Pretty funny stuff.
Number 16, Mario's Hell Kitchen.
Bowser sets up a cooking competition between his friends and will now have to endure all of their wacky shenanigans. You'd think Mario being in one team would make things unbalanced, but apparently there isn't a single person in the SMG4 cast who isn't a complete idiot. Mario sits on the corner for most of the episode, Maggie is Maggie, Fishy Boopkins can't tell milk from bleach, Bob is irresponsible and just mixes all the crap he finds, Toad sets everything on fire, Terry refuses to cut a vegetable, Psycho acts like a yandere, Luigi fucking dies, and their respective leaders can't even hold shit together. The final product of this episode is a mess, but a good one. Like that soup you get in prison after getting caught red-handed by the FBI. What? You don't know how that feels? What I'm trying to say is that this is a good and at the same time weird episode.
Number 15, Little Penguin Lost.
A Mario and Maggie episode. What could go wrong? Apparently nothing, since it's this high on the list. And you'd be correct. This time we get a fun little adventure familiar to many SM64 fans, but with a completely different twist. As Mario and Maggie find the lost infant, Mario immediately eats it off the block, only to be judged by his friend. The fetus's mother then thinks Maggie is her child and decides to take her home. Now Mario will have to be very big brain if he wants Maggie to come out alive of the situation. By the end they find themselves trapped on ice as the newborn Mario once yeeted came back to get revenge, only to be revealed later that he was indeed a serial killer. That was actually foreshadowed throughout the episode, which is kind of nice in my opinion. Finally, this episode concludes with the two dumbasses forgetting they needed to get out there and settling down for a pizza.
Number 14, Mario's Illegal Operation.
By watching this episode, we knew many more were to follow. The basic plot of this one is that since Bob took down Peach's castle, anime is now banned. The things I really like about this episode are the introduction to Francis and all the little story tie-ins. For an example, the very same three people who were once protesting to make their waifus real were all included in a pretty major way during this episode, which I thought was a perfect writer's move. Another one would be how a previous episode, Mario's prison escape, would affect this one by putting the guards back in the spotlight. This is probably the best setup episode in this entire list.
Number 13, Mario and the Experiment.
A plot twist? Yes, please. Dusty and Maggie being badasses? Oh yeah. A giant fight between Boopkin's dad and Godzilla? Yes. While the previous one is the best setup episode, this is by far the best intermediary episode. This has everything we could ever ask for. Well, except for the Mario recolors, I guess. But it doesn't matter, because this doesn't need any of that to be as fantastic as it is. Both plotlines are equally interesting, so they keep me engaged. The twist is thought out, but also not out of the question, and the ending keeps me begging for more, like it should be. And that's why I enjoyed this episode so much. I know this isn't everyone, but that's personally what I feel.
Number 12, Mario goes to the fridge to get some milk.
The original Mario gets his fingers stuck in a door. The granddad of shitposts. Mario goes to the fridge to get some milk. I'm not gonna lie, It still holds up to this day as the weirdest but best weird episode of all SMG4. The cast is a nice change of pace, which you know I like by this point. Most jokes land really well, the storyline is surprisingly straight, and you've got an army of cows fighting an army of milk boxes. And that's the best, bro! Jokes aside, this is a really good episode, and I'm glad SMG4 went all out on a simple premise and turned it upside down.
Number 11, Super Challenge 64.
I'm always down for a challenge format. You've seen this before with Mario and the Anime Challenge, and this time it's even better. We get to see how many of our most beloved characters would do if challenged to their very core. Mario runs backwards for a whole day, destroying everything in his path. Tori tries doing sports, but ends up murdering multiple people. Maggie tries crossing a lake, but literally dies. Bob goes a whole 3.5 seconds without swearing. Fishy Boopkins goes 1 hour without anime and passes out from lack of anime waifus. Psycho tries being nice in her own way, and Luigi gets used as a skateboard by his brother to get past a haunted mansion. And this is Shaggy's first appearance too, which would eventually lead into an appearance I'll talk about later.
Number 10, SMG4 runs out of memes.
SMG4 is feeling out of touch, so it's now up to his friends to try and show him what they think is the newest hit. Mario shows him the painful art of YouTube poops, Maggie shows SMG4 the cringy expression of TikTok, Luigi presents the craft of dead memes, Fish Boopkins displays the genius of Facebook memes, Bob conveys the mastery of deep fried memes, and Tori indicates the gift that is cute animal videos. The introductory part to this episode was also kinda nice and on point with Bowser Jr.'s character. At the end we even get a lesson about trusting yourself to achieve true success, which even managed to inspire me. So you know what this means. You need to keep on fighting. I'm sure happiness will be knocking on your door any minute now. But seriously, let's get that out of the way. You're not here to listen to my speech about how you should trust yourself. You're here to watch me rank every video from a YouTube channel in a year. So let's continue.
Number 9, Sen's first day in Smash Brothers.
I didn't think this could ever be an entire SMG4 episode, or in fact a good one, but this sure surprised me with all the jokes and references that this episode brought to the table. Many fighters that usually don't appear much in SMG4 episodes get to shine during this episode, and Sans manages to be hilarious and true to his official counterpart while still working in the SMG4 universe. And I have to admit that the final battle between Master Hand and Sans was masterfully executed and overall fun to watch and rewatch.
Number 8, the Grand Festival.
This was our last look at SMG4 for a while, and as you can expect by the placement on the list, it does not let us down. We divide our cast into 3 groups that eventually get together for one final scene. All the plot lines are equally entertaining and interesting. The way they all end up converging is pretty smooth and also really funny. This episode is also filled with amazing moments such as Tori finding a friend, my main goal is to blow up Bomb Bomb, and the guards in general. This episode gives out a feeling of finality to the year, and it's a good conclusion to that year's season.
Number 7, the Tori Abnormality.
Mario and Tori are having a nice friendly game of Super Smash Each Other in the Ass Brothers, when Mario starts to believe that the only reason he lost Tori in the first place is because of her arm. So, he starts putting his fingers where he shouldn't. God, who wrote this script? It was you? Okay, that's it, Jeffrey. Woo's going to do something very illegal. So anyway, Mario and Tori both get sent into the game and will now have to face many shitty versions of their friends. Mango here is one personal favorite of mine, but every single entity we encounter inside the game manages to make me chuckle the first time I see them. And if you're a fan of callbacks, this episode has got you covered on that too. Jokes were excellent, the pace was nice and good, and it was nothing short of memorable moments.
Number 6, Mario Alone.
I really don't know how SMG4 didn't think of this sooner. This is a great parody to make. Every character fits their role perfectly, and the story manages to stay true to the source material while still having some SMG4 spice. But the real reason this is so high in the list is that, to put it simply, this one's hilarious. This has to be one of the best SMG4 Christmas specials ever. Actually, when I think about it, I might have something planned for that later. The I have no friends joke is incredibly executed, the traps are all funny in their own rights, and we got the classic what the fuck is a Sonic gag. What else could have we asked for? A Waluigi launcher? They also cover that. Steve? He's there too, for some reason. Toad being a badass? It's there alright. So let's just appreciate how special this Christmas special really is.
Number 5, Mario vs. It.
If there was ever a definition for a good SMG4 episode, this one might be just that. Luigi gets taken by Pennywise, and it's now up to Mario to save him, along with the help of his friends SMG4, Toad, and Fishy Boopkins. Having a small cast definitely helped to set the atmosphere for this episode, which was much darker and tenser than usual. From callbacks to Slenderman and Greg, to Toad getting killed off and then resurrected in the same episode, things just keep getting thrown at the screen and everything manages to land. This episode's villain is also an interesting and terrifying threat that is sure to keep everyone around at bay. The twist was also clever and made for an even better experience.
Number 4, World War Mario.
While the last episode we talked about had a grim and dark mood, it's nothing compared to this one. Of course, you have the tragic death of Dusty, but the war scenario itself is enough to make you sweat in anxiety. The action here is all pretty good, the stakes are up high, and SMG4's balls are bigger than ever. Please don't clip this. Chris also gets shot, which leads to a very emotional moment that is usually overshadowed by the one I mentioned beforehand. We get the first signs of Swag and Bob's relationship, Steve makes a cameo, and Mario reveals his true IQ. Some very amazing stuff indeed.
Number 3, the Splatfest incident.
Okay, we're continuing our way through the dark episodes. So Mario, Luigi, and Tori are preparing for Splatfest, but Maggie doesn't arrive in time, so they get Bob to replace her for the round. When it seems like they won't be able to find Maggie anywhere, everyone alongside Dusty goes to Maggie's house only to realize she has been kidnapped. The sudden turn from a light and fun episode to a more grim and dark one was very well executed, and the civil war amongst the SMG4 cast was a very intriguing writing decision that created a very interesting conflict. Of course, by this point the viewer doesn't know what side to trust, which just makes the fight even more painful to watch while still being an exciting one overall.
Number 2, Maggie's Boot Camp.
Remember way back in the list when I said that the reason I didn't enjoy much There's Something Up with Maggie was because I didn't think the emotional moments were particularly well made? Here is an example of a masterfully crafted emotional moment. I know that to some of you it might have come out of nowhere, but even with that against it, this was just masterfully written in all the ways possible. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just a crybaby by nature. But I'm sure I'm not alone when I say that stuff like this gets my eyes pissing. The rest of the episode is also really good, but the standout has to be the halfway point. You probably already know what's number one by process of elimination, but if you somehow forgot that episode, let me remind you right now. Number 1. Final Hours. The epic conclusion to the anime arc. This is such a good episode that I have a fucking grocery list right here. It's literally right here, I'm holding it right now. All filled with amazing stuff you can find in the episode. You got a villain actually being smart for once, a callback to Final Fantasy Mario, Bob, Swag, and Chris showing up in style, everyone coming together to beat the living crap out of Francis, he summoning Super Saiyan God Goku, a heroic sacrifice, Exo summoning Shaggy, Shaggy versus Goku, Francis getting what he fucking deserved, Maggie's transformation, and Dusty's funeral. Jeez, that's a lot of pros to have for a single episode. To put it simply, this episode has the best writing, character development, stakes, and conclusion of the entire year, and is also the best outcome to the end of the anime arc. During a very controversial and harsh year, SMG4 and crew managed to show how creative and skillful they are. This has to be the single episode I got the most chills from, and that's saying something considering how this all started. Things change, that's normal, and when change is good, it's all the better. A special thanks to the SMG4 crew for making all of this possible. Wait, did you collab with them? Jeffrey, how did you escape your cell? Never mind him, he's an idiot. What I meant to say is that I really appreciate all the work and effort these guys put into what they do, and would just like to thank them for making our weeks. SMG4 isn't going to ever watch this, but I wanted to say it anyway. Communities are often very toxic, so I just wanted to express some genuine love. That was the video, guys. We're finally over. Subscribe if you want, and be sure to leave your own opinions down in the comments below. My name is Woo, and thanks for watching.